Few nations offer more diversity. This applies to its architecture, local customs, regional dialect, and spectacular landscape. It also applies to its cuisine, for German cooking is as varied and unique as her people. Taken as a whole, its food is one of the most interesting and appealing in the entire world of cooking. Bad Wurzach in southern Germany is about 100 kilometers west of Munich. It has two great attractions. The first is mud. Tens of thousands come each year to bathe in it, seeking relief from rheumatism. The mud's curative effects are supposed to last for 2 years. But many return to this beautiful Baroque village before then to enjoy Bad Wurzach's other great attraction: the food served at the Hotel Hirsch. Rated by restaurant critics as among the best in all of West Germany. Helmut Avrell is the owner of this superb restaurant and hotel. He is also one of Germany's great chefs. Here, the preparation of southern German food has been raised to a high art. An art that Helmut studied and apprenticed for in both France and Switzerland. But he cooks in a purely German style. The recipes Helmut will demonstrate now are, with one exception, very old and very traditional. The kinds of recipes he likes and is comfortable with.
I will begin with something people in this part of Germany have been enjoying for centuries. Schwäbische Maultaschen. Filled packets of dough very much like Italian ravioli or Chinese wontons. First, I make the filling. I put about a pound of fresh spinach in boiling, lightly salted water and cook until it is soft, a minute or two.
As soon as the spinach is soft, it is removed from the boiling water and placed into ice water. This serves several purposes. It stops the spinach from cooking, and it preserves its green color.
Now for another important ingredient of the filling, pork. Although I prefer to use pork, you can use chicken or beef if it suits you. And let me warn you now, German cooking may seem complicated at first, but if you follow recipes step by step, it is not hard at all. To 1 pound of pork, add 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of mace, which is the outer husk of nutmeg, and finally freshly crushed marjoram leaves, which, I am happy to say, I keep growing in my own garden.
The meat is set aside for a moment while the crust of a sturdy white bread is removed. The bread is then cut into cubes, which are thoroughly moistened in water.
In the meantime, I have been cooking 1 chopped onion in 1/4 pound of butter. To this I add about 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped parsley. By now, the bread has soaked for 3 or 4 minutes. I squeeze the excess water out and add the bread to the onion and parsley.
All the ingredients will be put through a food grinder. But first, 2 slices of the zest of the lemon must be added. The zest is the yellow outer part of the skin, which contains the lemon's oil and flavor, but not its bitterness. Be careful to avoid the white underneath. And now 2 anchovy fillets. Everything is placed in the grinder.
What I have is the filling for the Maultaschen. But I have a little more to do. I add salt and pepper to taste and mix them in. Then I taste. You must taste. For a chef, not to taste is like a painter not looking at his canvas. How else can you tell what you have done? We now will prepare the dough for the little pockets that hold the filling. So to 5 cups of flour and salt, I will add 5 whole eggs. And then 2 yellows, yolks you call them. A 1/4 cup of oil is next. I mix it all together and add a little water if needed.
After the ingredients have been mixed, they are allowed to stand for a half hour and then are rolled out.
This must be done very carefully. I use a lot of flour on the board so there is no sticking and the dough can be rolled thin. It should not have any holes. Now, with 1 whole beaten egg, I paint the pattern, stripes, on the dough. The filling comes next. I take it and place it in between the stripes I have brushed. Later, when I fold this, the egg stripes will be like a glue to keep the Maultaschen from coming apart. I suppose you could call Maultaschen dumplings. But we Germans no longer are just potato, kraut and plain dumpling eaters. In fact, our dumplings are highly refined and can be cooked in a variety of ways. Now I will roll the dough around the filling, pat it and make it neat. But getting back to how people think we eat. Potatoes, which everyone connects with our cooking, we didn't even have them until they were brought from America about 200 years ago.
Using a knife, or in this case a pastry wheel, the filled row is cut away from the rest of the dough.
I take a sharpening steel. You can also use any dull edge, such as a wooden handle, to separate the Maultaschen. Do not cut, just press the dough together.
Now the Maultaschen can be safely separated. These ravioli-like dumplings are ready for cooking.
I cook the Maultaschen in simmering clear broth until they rise to the top. About 15 minutes. They are then served in this same broth. For a topping, I add chopped onion fried in butter and a little bit of chives for decoration and flavor.
Because Bad Wurzach is near no ocean, the fish that are so important to Helmut Abrell's cooking are freshwater. Pike, perch, trout, and carp are all available to him. They come from local rivers and streams and from beautiful Lake Constance, which borders Germany and Switzerland. Several times a week, Helmut visits the fish markets along Lake Constance, less than 1 hour's drive from his restaurant.
I always try to buy the freshest fish possible and use it the same day. How to know if it is fresh? Well, there are some rules. Freshwater fish must have no odor. They should have bright eyes, not sunken. The skin should be smooth. The body not soft but firm. And the gills red or rose-colored.
The dish Helmut will cook has no special name. It is simply perch stuffed with pike and is one of his most delicately flavored dishes. It was created by Helmut to honor the opening of a friend's restaurant. He begins by filleting a large pike.
This is a new dish, but its ingredients are from nearby and have been used for years. It didn't just happen. It took me a long time to do it. A great dish evolves slowly. It must be worked on.
The meat of the pike is flavored with a pinch of salt and of cayenne pepper, and then placed into a grinder, which produces a paste. This can be done in a food processor or with an old-fashioned manual grinder just as well.
To make this paste very light, I add 1 egg white. Then some fresh cream, about 2 cups. Add it a little at a time. And mix it slowly until the paste has become a very fine, soft filling. As you can see, all of this is done over a second pot filled with ice for the purpose of keeping the paste firm and fresh.
He then fillets 8 perch.
Löse die Barsche erst aus von den Gräten.
Helmut now places a 1/4 pound of butter in a pot. He adds to it a tablespoon of chopped onions and then a 1/2 cup of a good dry white wine. The paste, which was made from the pike, is then placed between 2 of these fillets, forming what amounts to little sandwiches. It will cook for just 3 minutes per side on a low heat. Now for the crayfish, which are caught locally and are larger than the American variety.
I have already boiled crayfish with onions, carrots, carrot seeds and salt, so that step has been taken care of. I will open them up. They are like little lobsters, and remove the meat from the shell. I warn you not to use shrimp for this recipe, but if you cannot get crayfish, lobster meat will give more nearly the right flavor.
The fish fillets are done. They are placed in a serving dish, and the crayfish meat is placed on top of each one. Bits of cucumber and chopped tomato, which have been warmed in butter, are placed around the food, lending color as well as taste.
Every time I prepare fish, I use it as an opportunity to devise a new sauce or garnish. Here I take advantage of the crayfish shells to make a bisque-like sauce. But there are many other sauces that will work equally as well. Why not try to create something yourself? I think that is the real fun of cooking, doing something on your own without the aid of a cookbook or teacher.
Helmut Avrell comes to Munich frequently, usually on business. Yet he spends most of his time in one of its liveliest places, this charming city's 200-year-old Viktuallen Market. Here, people from all the regions surrounding Munich purchase fruits, vegetables, cheeses, and meats. Helmut is often among them.
To be a chef, one must know not only the tradition of the recipes prepared, but one must be natural and confident in cooking them. Over the years, I have developed 2 very simple rules about cooking. Always use fresh ingredients and always use imagination.
Today, Helmut is most interested in the array of fresh fruit, so important to the next dish he shall prepare, peach sherbet. Quite often, when Helmut prepares an elaborate meal, he will serve a sherbet between courses to clear the palate.
I begin by putting the peaches in boiling water for 20 seconds and then quickly cooling them in ice water. This is what you call blanching, and it is done so that the peaches can be peeled easily. Next, I must remove the pit. Naturally, the flavor of the sherbets I prepare is determined by what is available. These peaches are from Italy and are delivered to Munich's market daily. In another month, pears from Spain will be coming into season and I will use them.
After adding the juice of 2 lemons, Helmut purees the peaches, ending up with 1 cup. Next, he adds an equal amount of boiled water with 1/2 a cup of sugar dissolved in it. All that remains is to put the entire mixture into an ice cream maker. Helmut uses a professional model to save preparation time, but a simple hand crank machine would do equally as well. When the sherbet is ready, it is placed in chilled glasses, but must be slightly soft when served. Otherwise, the fruit flavor will be lost.
As a special touch, I add a very dry champagne. You may also serve this as a dessert, but more about desserts after the next course.
The beauty of southern Germany, where Helmut Arbredel's restaurant is located, is timeless. There is a feeling that how things are done today is how they were done years ago, that very little has changed. Farmers work their fields with a grace and ease taught by generations of experience.
Much of what I prepare is old, and much of it was developed as food for the poor, for peasants. Spätzle is peasant food and one of Germany's oldest dishes. All regions of Germany have their own specialties. This is one of ours.
What else is an rich dough, exactly like the type of dough used for the Moltoschen. Only a little more water is added. Helmut chops up 2 onions. Onions are like seasoning in German cooking, used as the base of almost every dish.
And into a small pan in which a quarter pound of butter is melting, I cook the onions till they are light brown. Now I will grate Swiss cheese. I always buy a large chunk and keep the rind on it until I am ready to use it. This keeps it from drying out and losing its flavor. Of course, a big piece, it's easier to hold.
Es ist besser, den Käse selbst zu reiben vom großen Stück wie ein.
Now for the Romodor, which is a form of Limburger cheese and ranks among the world's most pungent. A little is scraped from the outside, and then pieces about the size of a large pat of butter are cut, 1 per serving.
I have here a Spätzle board which is tapered to a fine edge. You might use a fine cutting board. I lift out some dough onto the board. Should be smooth, but not runny. Now I scrape noodle-sized bits of dough into boiling water. There should be only 1 layer of Spätzle at a time in the boiling water.
The noodle-sized bits cook for a short time, 2 or 3 minutes, in gently boiling water. Then a ladleful is placed into a soup plate.
I put on fresh ground pepper. And then the Swiss cheese I grated before. We use cheese to cook a great deal here. Pot cheese, Parmesan, Swiss, and others are used. Now for the Ramadur. I place it on top of the noodles. 1 per serving. Cheeses are not only used for cooking in Germany. A cheese platter is often served as a dessert after a cold meal, but rarely after a hot one.
Both cheeses are placed on top of a layer of noodles. A second layer is then added. This melts the cheese, spreading flavor through the noodles.
For a topping, I add chopped onions fried in butter and a little bit of chives for decoration and flavor.
The Germans, along with the Austrians, are considered the world's greatest bakers. Here the baker is considered a craftsman, an artist, constantly striving to improve and further refine his specialties. Helmut Abrell is no exception.
For our dessert, I'm going to make what you might call a red currant pie. I start with 3 cups of flour and a half cup of sugar. I add half a pound of butter that is already soft and easy to work with. 1 whole egg is added and mix it all up. I have always loved the German word for baking, Backwerk, which my English-speaking friends say sounds like some kind of hard labor. Anyhow, what we are preparing is, of course, the crust of our pie. Now it is all mixed together with 2 tablespoons of milk. There's so much to learn about German baking. It takes a while. We say, es ist noch kein Meister vom Himmel gefallen. Experts don't fall out of the sky, and they don't. And there is very little else to do except chill the dough for 1 hour.
Helmut rolls the crust. He uses a rolling pin to carefully lift the dough onto a deep dish baking pan, which has been greased. This demands skill because the dough is very thin and fragile. Once the baking pan is lined, ground biscuit crumbs are poured through a sieve onto the dough.
I mix 6 egg whites into a meringue with about a cup of sugar. We Germans love sweet things, and the number of desserts we can offer is staggering.
Then about a cup of ground almonds are stirred into the meringue, along with 4 or 5 cups of red currants. Very gently, the combination is folded, not mixed, together.
This light and fluffy mixture is carefully turned into the shell of the cake and is put into the oven for 45 minutes at 400 degrees. Check after 20 minutes to see that the top is not browning too fast. If so, lower the temperature to 350 degrees. When it is done, what emerges is a glorious, a delicious end to a delicious meal.
Helmut Abrell, like all great chefs, is forever learning. From colleagues, from customers, from experience. He knows cooking is an art form that cannot be mechanical.